Hey Joe, how are things going?
Excellent, thank you. And you?
Not too bad, thank you. How's everything been going? How's your day? How's your week?
Very, very busy. Trying to kind of create more resources and more opportunities for people that are already affected by COVID or will soon be affected to kind of make the transition as easy as possible.
That's
And
awesome. And sorry, Joe, I just, as you know, typical fashion, you think I'm an old hat at this by now. As we're chatting it up, I'm also going to share the post because we are just live now from the Frequency 5 FM page. And I just want to make sure that I share it to my page. And if you see it on yours, you can share it on yours as well. Does that sound like a plan?
always.
Sounds good. Okay, I'm just going to write this down right now. We are live. Awesome. I'm really excited about the topic we're going to be talking about tonight. I know we're going to be talking about, a few things in the context of, what you do, Joe, and who you are. And I really wanted to give our viewers a chance to get to know you. I know that you've been doing a few episodes now on the business side, and you're always a wealth of information, but I want to take it way back. And, I really want to share with people, how I've gotten to know you and some of these truisms that you've dropped on me as well, and how much you've shared. So let me share it to my page, and then we're going to do our usual intros, and then we're going to go from there. Okay. At home edition, I guess is what it's called. Okay, here we go. You got to love technology, especially when it works, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship. Can't live with it, can't live without it.
It's so true. Okay, here we go. So I just shared it now, and hopefully it'll show up on my page. The first thing I want to say, as I say all the time, I want to welcome everyone to our Tuesday evening space, Anything Goes to Business, tonight with the CEO of the Celebrate Group, JOSEF Stetter, who is a career and recruitment coach, along with a few other things. I also want to thank our loyal viewers and supporters of the Anything Goes movement. Of course, I hope you guys are all staying well and staying healthy. Of course, my Thursday night co-host, special hello to Julia Scalise, who's in the house, literally in the house. My baby girl, Felicia, who's also in the house. And of course, a big hello to Vortex, also known as Yusuf. I can't do a shout out without him, including him. Anyway, thank you guys so much tonight. Please do let us know who is on, and we are going to get to all the comments. I just wanted to make sure we're good because I see us on Frequency 5, and then I'm going to go to my page, and I want to make sure. I had a few people, and I love all of our, connections and networks, Joe, right? And they're basically like, yeah, as soon as you go, live, send it to my, like on Messenger, remind me. And I want to be able to do that. I just can't do it with everybody. So I see that we're on here. Okay, awesome.
Just select all and press remind.
Will I go to Facebook jail if I do that?
At a certain point, yes.
Okay, well, guys, let us know who's on. I've got Helena who is watching. Hi, Helena, how are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're well. I want to say, if I can digress for just a moment, thank you guys so much for all the love and all the comments and all the support from my Facebook Live impromptu last night. I really, really do appreciate it. And like I said, you guys, we're talking about business. We're talking about a lot of different things, but we don't want to, ignore what's going on out there. We're just trying to keep the motivation going, the positive energy going, and the information flowing, and that's why we're here. So let's get started, and then we're going to get to the comments. So Joe, right off the bat, obviously you have a wealth of knowledge. You've got an extensive career. You help a lot of people with job searches. You help a lot of people, whether it be, coaching them with resumes and interviewing techniques and negotiations on salary, whether it be where to look for work, how to look for work, the art of networking and all these wonderful things. Okay. I've known you now for a year, maybe a year and a half. And, I say this all the time. It's all about relationship building. It's all about getting to know people. and people will, you know, work with the people that they like and they trust and they respect. And you and I have done a lot of, you know, back and forth and discussions around resumes, for example. And look, they're very important. We know that, but they're not the be all and end all. And we obviously want to get to know the person behind the resume. Well, tonight, as part of the beginning of a multi-part series on who is JOSEF Stetter, we're going to go back to the beginning a little bit. And the reason for this is, guys, I want you guys to get to know Joe from way back. I want you guys to understand his story and his journey and where he has been in order to arrive to where he is now, which is really, really important. And there have been a few catalysts in Joe's life. And there have been a lot of, you know, little paths and some bigger paths that he has taken. And we're going to, you know, get to know him. So if you guys have any questions or any comments, please put them out there. You know, again, he's a coach, he's an author, he's an educator, he's so many things, but I want you guys to get to know him the way I've gotten to know him. He and I have a wonderful working relationship, and it really is about mutual respect and mutual understanding. And that's when the magic happens, you know? So let's get right into it. I have coffee with Joe one day, and he, you know, allows me into his world. And one of the things he tells me is he had a business and he had a business partnership, and that business partnership ended, but not before his business partner took off with $300,000, something like that.
Taught me a $300,000 lesson. More.
Taught you a $300,000 lesson. That's an expensive lesson. And now I want to say right off the bat, not everybody would be open about admitting that, right? Not everybody would admit it because they would feel some sense of shame or some sense of like, oh, I should have known better, you know, this and that. But Joe, you know, you say it the way it is. Again, one of the reasons I respect you so much, you're very open about it. What I want to talk about tonight is a couple of things around that. Number one, I want you to be as you are. I want you to share with people what the heck happened, okay? And let people understand that this is something that can happen to people. It can easily happen to people. But the other thing I want to talk about in line with this theme is trust. Trust between business partners, trust between collaborators and partners of business, trust between entrepreneurial collaborations. Let's be honest, we all want to trust people, but it doesn't always end that way. So go for it. Platform is yours.
Okay, so a little bit of background. I kind of came from an environment where, you know, you need to have a good job. That was the conversation. And I've always enjoyed being around people. And I switched jobs, or I switched careers 9 times, and I've switched jobs about 18 times. And when I say switch careers, I'm talking industry, I'm talking the direction of the profession, and so forth. So I was working for a recruiting agency, and my first year there, I generated $760,000 in billable commissions for the agency. And my supervisor, who's been there for 11 years, who was second, generated $140,000. My Christmas bonus was cheese and crackers. And when I looked at the owner and went, "What the hell is this?" She looked at me and said with a big smile, "Well, the cheese is from Pusateri's." Like, it's a very high-end grocery store. But the crackers were from the dollar store. And I kind of looked at her and said, "Do I look like I'm 65 years old that I need cheese from Pusateri's? At least give me a CD, I'll put that to use." And so I was like, you know what? This revenue that I generated, that I earned very little commission on because I had to hit certain targets and numbers, is all new business that I brought in. It's relationships that I built with people. So you know what? I don't need you. I'm going to quit. And when I decided to quit, my supervisor asked if she could join me because she was tired of the politics at that company as well. Now, given that she had my back, I was like, okay, let's go.
And Joe, sorry, I know you told me this, but remind me again, who was the person that didn't give you the right bonus? What was their...
The owner of the recruiting firm before I opened my business. So like I was working for an agency and generated $750,000, which was quintuple everybody else. And
Yes.
said she gave me cheese and crackers for my Christmas bonus.
She being who? What's the title of the she?
The owner of the recruiting firm I work for.
Oh, okay. The owner. Got it. Okay. And so then fast forward, the supervisor when you left is the one that said.
So when I submitted my resignation, my supervisor said, "Why don't you listen? I'm kind of tired of the politics here. Mm-hmm. You know what? We have good synergy. Let's work together." And I said, "Okay." And again, when we started, she had communicated certain things to me that being young and immature and excited about being an entrepreneur, I didn't pay that much attention to. So I didn't have lawyers check paperwork. I didn't have accountants check the paper trail.
Right.
And the first 2-3 years of our business, everything we touched turned to gold. We were making money hand over fist. Mm-hmm. Now, part of the stuff she communicated to me was that I needed to pay her in cash because there were certain things happening in the background. That should
just just go back for 1 sec. What kind of business was it? What did you guys focus on?
Recruiting.
Oh, strictly recruiting. Okay. Yeah.
Strictly recruiting. And I kind of agreed because based on the initial or surface background information that I had, the issue would be addressed within a few months and we could backdate the money that I paid her out.
Oh, okay.
A year and 3 months went by. She started doing things that are questionable. She started kind of behaving in, oh, well, you know what? We generate this much money. We don't need to work right now. I don't need to do this, and left a lot of things hanging. We had a nasty falling out. And in 2010, when the market crashed in terms of a small recession, I'll call it that, compared to what's about to happen with COVID, she, when we kind of officially parted in terms of working together, she called clients of orders that we had already closed, that the invoices were sent, and told them that we separated and that the money should be redirected to her. And she redirected about $173,000 of income. Now, when this happened and the recession hit, my 3 biggest clients downsized about 1,500 people each. And I went from having 60 to 80 orders a month to having 0 overnight, because a lot of my recruiting was in service sector in terms of accounting, engineering, and there was such a huge freeze on hiring that, and so many of the, let's say in accounting, the big 5 downsized something like 12,000 accountants and looked at me and said, "We don't need your services. There's people knocking on our door desperate for a job." So not only did I get, I got the redirect, because by the time I found out that the money was redirected, because I called my client and said, "Where's the payment?" They said, "We sent it to you and it's already been cashed." I went, "What do you mean it's been cashed?" I said, "We sent it to your partner. Here on these dates it was cashed." And because I'd paid my partner in cash, and we're talking a very large sum of money, Revenue Canada kind of woke up and said, "You took out a hell of a lot of money in cash. Unless you have a paper trail, you owe us CPP, EI, corporate tax, personal tax, and deferred taxes."
And none of that was taken care of during the time of your business partnership. And
John, it wasn't because, again, I was paying her in cash, and I knew the risk or was ignorant to the risk because I was just excited about being a business partner, and I didn't think, or a business owner, and I didn't think anything would happen with my business in terms of something bad.
And how long were you in business with her from start to finish? How many years?
We can say 3.5 to 4 years kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I got nailed with about $94,000 in taxes. And when you owe $94,000 in taxes, you cannot declare bankruptcy because the government has the right to garnish up to 90% of your salary.
Why did you get nailed with $94,000? How come she didn't have to pay any of that?
Because the business was in my name and I was paying her in cash.
Okay.
like I said, I take responsibility because
No, I'm not sitting here. No. And I'm going to interrupt you.
No, but I want you to understand something. Like,
yeah, I'm not sitting here in judgment. It's all about, and we're going to talk about this. It's all about trust, and business trust it's imperative, but the trust between people is, I see this time and time again, and it happens sometimes not to the tune of 100,000, sometimes to the tune of millions, sometimes to the tune of hundreds of dollars.
Right. And there's a certain level where, with the best intention in anything, when you're having a conversation,
yeah,
there's always he said, she said, I heard it this way, I misinterpreted something. Yeah. And so I take responsibility for that. I did not create a paper trail. I did not have lawyers and accountants that are experts in their field. I kind of went with cheapest in their field. And
you get what you pay for, I guess.
In part. And so, like, that derailed me completely. And as part of trying to figure out what to do next, because I couldn't work on commission because the market for recruiting was dead.
And Joe, sorry, and so when you say, I know it was a lot more money than the taxes, but there was also the payments from clients that you didn't see, and a whole bunch of other
stuff. So in total, right? Yeah. In total, I lost about $285,000 when everything was said and done. And then, because at that moment I went, okay, sales is a disaster right now. I don't want to be in a position of chasing commission.
Yeah.
I took on more debt and went in to become a high school teacher in order to kind of stabilize the career. Yeah. And for the past 8.5 years, I have worked in combination about 5 jobs, including on my own business, and pretty much paid off the $300,000 of debt.
Okay, first of all, applause. That is freaking amazing.
Yeah, there's still a little bit left, but compared to where it was,
$300,000 to pay it off in 7 or 8 years is
without declaring bankruptcy.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's something to be proud of, a major accomplishment. I want to get to the comments for a minute, and then I want to get back to a few things on this story. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right, so let's see, we got, so I mentioned Helena. Helena, I can't wait to get back out dancing. I hope you're doing well. Fiona Strong is watching. Fiona, how are you? I hope you're staying safe. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lorena's watching. Hi, Lorena. She says, hi, guys. We've got, sorry, my eyesight is not as good as it used to be. We got Maribel on. She says, hello. Hi, Maribel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Kim Wilson's watching. She goes, hello. Hey, Kim, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Again, there was a few comments that went through while you were talking, Joe. And I think I mentioned this the last couple of weeks. I go back and then I can't see the comments anymore. They've disappeared. Anyway, we'll get to it later. I'm sure they'll come up at some point. One of the things I wanted to mention, Joe, or I wanted to ask you, what comes to mind for me is, I'm really big on trust. Mm-hmm. And I'm also really big on lack of trust. I don't stand for it. I don't stand the nonsense that goes on. And unfortunately, it's one of those things where you want to take people, you want to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? You want to take them for what you believe they're worth in terms of their face value. You want to believe that everyone's as honest as you. You want to believe that everyone is good as you, until they burn you, right? You get screwed over, and you learn a very, very valuable lesson, not only financially, but also in the lesson of humanity and how people can be so cutthroat and ruthless. So that said, going back to that situation, she was your supervisor at the previous job, right?
And she had my back plenty of times.
And I was going to say, she obviously displayed behaviors that would allow you to trust her and to believe that she was a good person, that you could go into business with her. I was going to ask you, part A of this is, did you ever see any behaviors beforehand that would make you question, should I really go into business with this person? I don't know. And then the part B to that is, when did you start to see the things unraveling with her behavior? And why do you think she was like that? What do you think prompted that kind of behavior?
So in regards to your first kind of part of the questions, there were some warning signs, but as I said, I was young, I was immature, everything is rosy, and I refused to believe anything in terms of the size.
Sorry, Joe, this was after the fact when you guys went into business together, you mean?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, and again, business was so good that contingency planning and being prepared and, documentations were not really my concern for certain things.
Right.
Now, the second part of the question in terms of the trust, in terms of there, again,
it's a big one,
Look, it's a conversation where there's an adage that says, unfortunately, greed makes people do stupid things, and there's a level where even within a friendship, even within there, when money comes into play, sometimes it changes the friendship. And I've lost friends.
Like you're saying that it.
No, I've lost friendships because money came up and money was kind of a concern in one way or a way of a conversation.
Money has a funny way of ending friendships or ending business relationships or bringing the true colors out in people, right? We know this.
That's why you never play Monopoly with your friends, because that will kind of destroy a friendship for sure. But
well, $300,000 or $300. It's the principle, right, of the matter. And Joe, sorry, I wanted to ask you this too, just in the same flow of this conversation. Is I had it earlier and it escaped me. So give me a second. When things ended between you and your partner, okay? There was obviously you said a nasty falling out. You didn't have any legal recourse, right? Ultimately, as I'm sure you checked into.
No, because I didn't have a paper trail to take ownership of the mistakes that I made.
What did she say to you, if anything? Like, did she ever think that what she did was wrong? Did she ever apologize? What did she say? What did she say,
I'm just going to leave it this way. In transitions after that, when I was in between jobs, I interviewed at other agencies that kind of realized how good I am at recruiting.
Yeah.
And in the process of the conversation, it came up that she had done the same thing to them.
To them as well?
Yeah.
But none of these signs or behaviors were shown when she was a supervisor for you though. Like when it was.
No, because when she was a supervisor, again, whether it was salary plus commission, whatever the comp package, it wasn't influenced by I can make more money, because as a supervisor, she already had an override commission on whatever the team brought in.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
As long as the team was shining, her override was kicking in, right? Whether it was a small amount or a large amount kind of thing.
I want to check the comments really quickly. And then I want to get back to something that I think, and I've been seeing and I see it, and I think it's more prevalent than we all want to believe, which is how does someone recover from becoming financially crippled, if you will, by people or person that they trusted? That is a big one. It's a betrayal. It is a betrayal. Let's be honest, right? Renato is watching. Hey, Renato. He says, hello, Morella. How are you? I'm good, Renato. How's everything going with you? Let us know who's on. Let us know who's watching. We're going to do some recaps. By the way, Joe, just so you know, when I was posting the promos today about this, I had a whole bunch of people come through on my messenger going, oh, geez, oh my, oh, wow. Oh, what? Like people were really, I think they were just kind of like, wow, like how does this happen? Like, how can people do this? You know?
Relatively speaking, this is a small scale. Like I have friends and mentors that have gone through triple the hit that I've gone through, and are also very open about it. It's unfortunately, again, I can only take responsibility for myself. I cannot take responsibility for anybody else.
Right.
And so I don't even blame my partner.
About this, okay? Let's talk about how, hang on one second, sorry. Yeah, you know what, and that's what I respect about you. I mean, you're open about it, you know? Walk us through a couple of different things here. Number one, how did you feel? I mean, if it was me, I would have been devastated, obviously. I would have been mortified. I would have been like, oh my God, what just happened? How'd you feel from a perspective of trust and somebody did this to you? And how did you feel like, I should have known better? Maybe how did it make you feel in terms of that, like the trust aspect and the fact that this happened to you? Second part of that question is financially, when you're realizing, wow, I've just been had, and now I'm in the hole for this. How did you feel? And then what steps did you take to try to, charge it forward and pick yourself up from it?
Okay, so I'm going to start with the finance answer first.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I was crushed. I mean, I've had debts here and there before because I made stupid decisions.
Yeah.
But nothing to this level. And for at least 5-6 years, because on top of going back to school, again, working multiple jobs, I was living on crackers and, like mac and cheese from the dollar store if I had to, for the sake of survival kind of thing.
Right.
And when friends were like, hey, do you want to come for a cup of coffee? I had to tell them, like, listen, I got $1.25 in my account right now, and I need to wait till, let's say, Thursday when I get paid so that I can have gas to drive over to coffee, even not even have coffee kind of thing.
Not even have coffee, right.
So, the real friends were like, okay, let me come pick you up. I'll treat you to a coffee or whatever, because it's a coffee at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so again, working, like when I became a teacher, I moved to Ottawa to be a teacher. I was teaching day school. I was teaching night school. I was tutoring. I was Uber driving. I was, trying to kind of get a client on my business and kind of revive it. So, my father, God rest his soul, always had a work ethic that I've admired and I still admire to this day. And as much as he had times in his life where he had shitty bosses, he always loved what he did. And, he was a civil engineer until the day he died.
Yeah.
And he often chose to sacrifice some of his own happiness to provide for the family. And I respect and admire that immensely about him. But to me, there was a matter of, I found outlets. So I discovered salsa dancing or Latin dancing. And to me, when I went dancing, the whole world stopped. And there was no problems. There was no issues. And it was just the joy of dance.
It was your outlet.
Huh?
It was your outlet.
Yeah, in part, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with writing, that like the creative juices were flowing and things like that. So I use that as a technique. In terms of trust, listen, it's in my DNA to trust people. I'm not afraid to get burned by people because at the end of the day, A, I take responsibility. B, I believe in karma. C, there's a level of, I don't want to live a life where everybody's evil and everyone ought to get me, because it's a miserable existence and you're angry and you're there. So to me, it's like, okay, you know what? Maybe I was meant to learn this lesson. Maybe this was meant to happen. I might not understand why this happened, but everything that's happened to my life led me into the path that I'm on right now.
So Joe, sorry, to add to that then, when you talk about lessons learned and you talk about, teachable moments, right? Mm-hmm. And you talk about, the different things, and you talk about this, partnership, and that, you trusted. One of the things that we talk about often, you and I talk about with a lot of people, is brand integrity. Mm-hmm. And we are the brand. Doesn't matter if we are working for a potato chip company, if we're working for a coffee company, if we're working for an engineering company. At the end of the day, the potato chips is the product, but we are the product of the brand, and that we're trying to instill our company culture and our company being and our company integrity to be able to deliver on potato chips. You see what I'm saying? And so look,
but this is where it ties in, because people that are job seekers need to understand, I don't care that you know how to do something, because in this day and age, everybody knows how to do something. but telling me how good you are at it and what results you can produce is what separates you, because I can measure your results.
But that's where I'm going with this. So you have this falling out with your partner, and you had clients, and all of a sudden these clients are, seeing you in high regard. And I'm sure they're still seeing you in high regard now, but there's got to be a level where there was a lot of companies and clients when this thing happened with your partner that started to lose faith. And so my question is, how much of that whole debacle affected your brand integrity out there in the marketplace? Because we want to send this message out to people that it takes a lifetime to build brand, and it takes a second to break it, whether it's the trust or the brand. It drives me crazy sometimes because people don't want to understand that. And people start to make these silly, egotistical mistakes. Not calling you egotistical, I'm saying people out there, I've seen it, make these egotistical mistakes, and then it's hard to recover from. So my question to you is, because I know you hold your integrity in high regard, I know this already. So what was the fallout from that perspective? How much damage control did you have to do?
Again, keep in mind that because a recession hit, my clients were hit. So they weren't using my services regardless of what happened. But over the past few years, I've reconnected with them. And because of the way I service them, the amount of value added, the amount of extra it's a small thing, but it's remembered. It was easier to kind of go, hey, can I do business with you again?
Right.
Right. And for some of them, the answer was yes. Some of them, my contacts were gone. So that relationship was gone. And so it was like, okay, I need to reestablish that. I need to reset that.
Yeah.
There's a level where, again, in any, like if I use right now what's going on with COVID, sadly, the numbers at the current state is in the US, there's 16 million people that have lost their job already. And in Canada, we are approximately 1 million across Canada, which is very high. So there's a level where there's a gazillion career coaches out there that write a resume and offer interview skills.
Right.
At the end of the day, the way they communicate the story, the way that they have an expertise that shows that they know your pain is going to separate them, right? Like, yeah, I'd love to service all 17 million people, but I'm also realistic that
you could only handle 15 million. Come on, let's be honest.
Sure. But it's a level where, again, some people won't like my story. Some people will look and go, oh, you're wearing a suit. You're better than me. I don't want that. Some people will go, you're white. I want somebody that's culturally similar to me. Again, whatever version. And I accept the fact that I'm not for everybody, because I have I've created systems and I've created tools. I know these tools works because I've tested them. I've coached 10,500 people with a very high level of success. If people follow my systems, it never fails. It never fails. But here's the thing. When people go, I know how to find a job, I'll just send resumes out. Okay, there is an art. There is an algorithm for resumes. So writers or people that work in HR or people that are recruiters that go, oh, I've interviewed so many people, I kind of know what's a good resume. Again, if what they do works, more power, please use them. But so I've studied the algorithm. And I know what produces results with the algorithm. That's the difference.
And so this is the thing, right? Like, obviously, that situation with your business partner taught you some lessons, okay? Walk us through what that taught you in the context of, because I really want people, we're going to kind of going back, and we're going to be going down memory lane a little bit over the next few Tuesday nights, Joe, because I know that there's a few specific catalysts in your life. And I want people to understand that catalysts are there. I had a conversation with someone just yesterday about this. Catalysts, I always say this, they don't have to be bad, negative. They don't have to be destructive. If we look at those catalysts as a way to change course, right? Or navigate differently or go in a different direction if we learn from the experience and we learn from what those teachable moments are supposed to be, right? When you look back to that experience, of course it traumatized you. And of course, all of those things and those feelings and emotions that would with anybody. When you look back to that time, and I know you said that, you know, you took on all these different jobs and then you became a teacher and this and that. Now, here we are today, current day. And like you said, millions of coaches out there, millions, millions of entrepreneurs, everybody's got something to sell, right? Everyone's got something going on. But when you look back to, you know, that experience coupled to who you are as a person, right? And bringing you now current day, what, like, I want you to like let our viewers know, you know, what fundamental lesson was there for you to learn from that, like that brings you here in front of us doing what you do now? What would you say it is? Or there could be 5 things or 10 things, but like walk us through that and what that looks like for you.
Number one, proof. You know, the more proof I have,
say it all the time,
the more credibility I have, regardless of what everybody else is doing.
Proof.
Second,
so what would you do differently, right? Like, so if you took that same scenario and your supervisor says, Joe, okay, you're leaving, I'm leaving, let's do something together. And then whatever, you had the chance to do a redo. What would you do differently?
Number one, get a better lawyer and a better accountant.
Number one.
That put things in writing and document it and make sure that as part of the documentation, there is check-ins with experts, you know.
Yes.
There's also a level of, I know what I know, and I'm also cognizant that there's quite a bit that I don't know. And so I surround myself with people that are experts in their respective field. Like I use your services and your team services for my marketing, because I realize I might have a concept in mind in terms of a poster or an infographic or logo, but I'm not the one that knows how to go on Photoshop and put it together and sequence it and so forth. I pay for the level of expertise. I pay for the level of, I want to focus on what I do best.
Yeah.
And as much as I partner with people, I still partner with people. There's a level of separation of, okay, we're friends, but this is business. This is where I want to go.
That's very important. Yes, continue. Yeah.
Right. I want to go here. This is kind of the vision. I need you to do what you do to get me from A to B. And there's a level where even now there's, you know, a lot of experts that make a lot of promises, but very few that take the time to go, you know what, it might be a little bit slow, but the work speaks for itself. And I'm doing that myself. Like I shared, and I think I sent it to you, but I will share it this call. I put together 9 pages worth of free resources to help everybody earn part-time income.
Yeah.
Whether it's being a virtual administrative assistant, whether it's being transcribing things, whether it's writing, whether it's selling some of your knowledge. So if you're good in music and you can teach lessons, here's the platforms that do them for you, and various others. Now, if I'm spending this much time and energy to give away gifts and resources that can help everybody today, and I'm spending more time on my bonuses to help people transition.
Right.
I want people to understand this is what you'll get when you actually apply to work with me.
And when you say to like, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So there's a level where I'm going, look, I'm giving you resources that you might have spent time finding on your own. But if you don't know where to look, And if you don't know what's out there, I've made your life simpler. I've given you the ins. I'm giving you tools, right? If you are very good as a marketer, but you cannot quantify the value of what you do, the numbers that you produce, whether it's on a small scale or a large scale, then you are worthless to every employer, because there is now 17 million people that are searching for the job. So the odds are there's a few hundred to a few thousand searching for the exact same job you are, right?
And Joe, you know what? Sorry, I want to just mention something you said earlier too, because like I said, we always can have such good conversation. There's just too many truisms to cover, you know. When we talk about quality versus quantity, right? If someone is going to get you back, for example, a 100-page PowerPoint in about 2 hours, my expertise, pretty much they've maybe glossed over it for some spelling errors and maybe put a bullet point in a couple of slides. The best case scenario is when you have quality, but you've got quality in a number of different, you know, deliverables that can be delivered fast or at least efficiently, but high quality. That is a win-win, right? So if I had to choose, I'd rather, like, you know, it's like anything else, right? Do you make the deadline with some spelling errors because you didn't have time to check it, put quality control in? Or do you ask for an extension knowing full well that you need that extra hour to get it just perfect with no spelling errors? You know, it's kind of like, you got to look at those things, right?
Look,
and so where I'm going with this is that, and again, we could talk about this subject all night long and all year long. And I'm going to keep, you know, harping on it because there's just way too much smoke out there. There's too much smoke out there. And when you say proof, as I've said often before, you know, I've always, whether it's now or 20 years ago, I prove, I do, I show, I demonstrate. And then I'm hoping that you're going to go, oh, okay, she can do that. You know, as opposed to me trying to say to you, hey, Joe, you got 10 grand. I can do this for you. And you're looking at me going, where the heck have you come from? I don't even know you. So there's got to be a level of relationship building, and there's got to be a level of trust. And then there's got to be a level of, like, you know, that delivery. And one thing I want to say about what you did and how you handled that situation is here you had, like, I call it a betrayal because I think it was a betrayal on a number of levels, but yet you're one of the most generous, kind-hearted people that I know that's always willing and helping other people despite what you went through. So where I'm going with this is that could have really desensitized you. It could have pissed you off to the point where you were just, nope, it's going to be all me all the time. I don't care about anybody else, but it didn't. It didn't. And you're still very, you know, empathetic and compassionate to things and still want to help people all the time.
So here's the thing to understand. I'm a huge believer in karma and energy.
In karma?
And
yeah.
in karma and energy and so forth. Now,
yeah, me too.
There's a level where I've also learned, you know, never judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of people that when you first meet them, you don't think much. And then you start talking to them and you're like, who are you? Where did you come from? Like, there. And you realize these are experts, like, you know, for example, if I talk about wealth, the wealthiest people don't dress up in Gucci and in, you know, bling and drive the most expensive cars.
Right.
Because they don't need to show off that they're wealthy.
That's right.
The ones that are kind of in between where they've made a few millions need to show that they have the roles or that they have. And at the end of the day, it's a level where I also understand I have to be open to opportunities. And so if I have my energy focused on all the negative shit, like, you know, even at my brokest, I can volunteer, I can give back because I can tell you that me recognizing conversations, and I'm going to use an example. I had someone reach out to me about job finding.
Mm-hmm.
And as we started the conversation, this particular woman asked me kind of my date of birth, asked me a couple of questions, and all of a sudden, intuitively knew things that had happened to me. Now, I'm fascinated by this kind of stuff. And I kind of said to her, okay, I'll tell you what, since I want to experience your expertise, I will coach your son for free, and I will help him kind of land his dream job.
Yeah.
Because I see value in the work that you do. As part of helping her son.
Sorry, Joe, all of a sudden I have this like tickle in my throat. Go on.
She has gifted my wife and I 4 boxes worth of clothing for our expecting daughter, like our new baby daughter.
Right.
As a beyond thank you for me being, a Yiddish expression is a mensch, someone who's just so good-hearted, for example.
Yes, yes.
And in doing so, she's also now kind of going, hey, can I help you with this? Can I promote you here? Can I do this? Which wasn't my ask, wasn't part of the conversation.
Right, right.
But because she recognized the energy, so similar to you and I in the sense that, okay, I said, I need this. You did great work. I said, okay, I would like more of it because I'm happy. And
thank you.
I want to see things consistent. So there's a level where even when I'm volunteering, right, you know, you see a lot of the Dharman videos about never judge, be careful of the word. I love those videos. And there's a level where, listen, life can turn around like that, you know.
There's a saying, Joe, sorry, I want to say it right here. I heard it a long time ago and it stuck with me. I think you've heard me say it. Be careful of the back that you stab today because it might be attached to the ass you have to kiss tomorrow.
That's a great quote.
Hold on. Yeah. Don't you like that? Hang on a second. I want to acknowledge a couple of people. It is a great quote. I love it. And it has stuck with me and it's absolutely so true. Jermelyn Barnes is watching. Hi, lovely. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. How are you? How are things going? Looking forward to getting things back with Jermelyn. She's the relationship coach, relationship expert. She talks everything about, relationships and dating and marriage and all of these great things. And we're missing you. So we got to get back into the studio. And, she's ultimately, as you know, Joe and others, just an infinite of wisdom when it comes to relationships. And, the thing I want to mention too is whether it's Kim or, you or Jermelyn or, anybody else that's talking about, certain things, whether it be now during this time or just in general, right? One of the things I see, Joe, that is a real common denominator is the relationships that we have with ourselves when dealing with, whether it be, food or jobs or relationships. Like it's the relationship we have with ourselves or lack thereof, which I think is a really interesting concept. And I want to get to that in a second, actually, as part of this. Jermelyn, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you and your family are staying safe. Darcy's on. Hey, Darcy, how are you? I hope everything's well. Looking forward to seeing you at the gym when it opens up again. We've got, I hope I pronounced this correct, Bupinder Gill is watching. Thank you so much for tuning. Arlette is on. Hey, Arlette, how are you? Always appreciate your lovely messages and photos. So motivational, very inspiring. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. Joe, we've got about, I want to be cognizant of time again, because, we always have so much to chat about. And of course, like I said, this is a multi-part series. We're getting really down and deep into, your story and your journey. We're going to be doing the same thing with Kim starting tomorrow night as well. So we've got about 12 to 14 minutes left here, but I want to get to what you said around Shelley, my friend, always says the art of reciprocity. And this is what it reminds me of as you're talking right now about you could be broke and you're still volunteering, For me, one of the things that, I learned really, really young and you've expressed it and you've explained it as well, is that you want to be able to trust everybody. You want to be able to trust people and work with people, and what have you. The bottom line is this, okay? Whether we're working in an office building or we're working in our homes, right, online, you're going to come across, you, me, others, we're going to come across people that we think we want to collaborate with and work with, that they think that they want to work and collaborate with us. And in order for us to be successful in our respective trades, whatever they are, right? We need to have clients. We need to sell what we're doing. We need to get out there. We need to collaborate. We need to have people follow us, connect with us, talk about us in a good way, I hope, you know? Where do we draw the line? It's a rhetorical question, but I want you to answer this, is where do you, in your experiences, because I can answer this, but this is your segment, right? Where do you draw the line between who you partner with, who you collaborate with, who you give your hard-earned money to help build your brand, what events you go to, who do you go listen to speak, the videos, the Darman videos, why him versus, somebody else? What are some of the deciding factors for you? Because there are a lot of people that are just starting out as entrepreneurs, that are just, or thinking that they need certain people, dishing out tons of money and actually realize they didn't need them, or I'm going to be blunt here, get screwed over. So what are your deciding factors for how you go about this, and how you decide who your potential collaborators and partners are going to be? Maybe you can give some insights on that to our viewers.
So very loaded kind of,
yes, we're not
encompassing question
here, but
no,
yes,
but here's the thing to understand. Number one, you shouldn't be afraid to fail. Whether you're an entrepreneur or seeking a job, you shouldn't be afraid to fail, because failure is part of life. Number two, part of that failure is to learn what is or isn't working and why. And this is where there's a level of be cognizant to ask questions, in a sense that if you're hiring experts, you need to ask them questions. You need to ask to speak to some of their clients and the experiences they've had, so that you can kind of discern. And here's where, again, a few examples of asking questions. I go to a lot of networking meetings. Some of them are better, some of them are worse, depending on the crowd, depending on this. But I meet a financial advisor and they say, ooh, can we have a coffee, discuss some of your finances? And I'll ask them one of three questions. Number one, what is your net worth? When they get offended, and I say, listen, if you're worth less than me and you're struggling to make rent, how are you going to advise me on my finances? Do you
think they're always honest with you about that? Or do you think they add
again, if they're not comfortable answering that question, my next question might be, what is your asset under management worth, and how much has your biggest client invested with you? Right. Because that gives me a sense of what kind of volume you can handle. And again, because I worked in finance, I can also ask them, do you know anything beyond mutual funds and insurance? Do you know anything about derivatives, options, crypto, foreign exchange? Because if not, I'm sorry, but you're not the advisor for me, because I do know about that. Similarly, like somebody says, I'm an SEO expert. There's a lot of them. Now, there's a difference between growing organic traffic in your local community and knowing how to build those relationships, and someone that can play on a kind of global scale. So let's say someone says, I know how to create SEO websites. I go, great. How have you adjusted to Panda? If they go, who or what's a Panda? They're not the SEO expert for me.
They're not getting hired, is what you're saying.
No, because Panda is someone at Google that realized that a lot of the big companies are spending millions of dollars to be the most SEO and appear on page one. So it takes away from their business model of allowing small companies to shine. So Panda is a ghost. Nobody really knows who he is, but other than he's working with Google, that changes the algorithm from SEO to kind of what's called UEO, which is user experience optimization. So if you have a video on your site, how many people are watching the entire video? How many people are scrolling past the breaking point of the eye?
Right.
Now, again, because I have a curious nature, I'm constantly reading. I'm constantly speaking to people And so I'm learning from them what their expertise is or hows, and especially in writing resumes, I have to craft that for people as part of writing a resume.
Right, that's right.
So I've learned to ask certain questions, and so
have you been burned?
Well,
have you been burned?
$300,000 life lesson is a pretty big lesson to.
Oh, no,
have,
no,
but,
I know that was a big burn. Yeah, definitely.
But of course, listen, of course, I've had people promising me the sky and the moon and the stars,
yeah,
and delivering to me toilet paper, kind of thing.
Which is actually quite invaluable right now.
Ironically, yes.
So listen, Joe, I want to do something if it's okay. It's 8:25. Sure. And we got Addie Stetter watching as well. We had a few people on tonight. Thank you guys. I missed a whole bunch of comments or a whole bunch of people watching. There was like, and then they just disappeared. But anyway, that's okay. We're going to do watch parties. We're going to do recaps. We're going to be around all week long. And Joe, I want to continue this conversation next week. We're going to have a continual of this plus a new theme, not a new theme, excuse me, but another one of the catalysts that I know about that you and I have talked about. It's very important because at the end of the day, okay, it's not just about profit and loss. That is not what business is about. It is about relationship building, and we want to have this conversation and keep going. Let's get into our final thoughts. But before we get into our final thoughts, I just wanted to say, Joe, thank you so much for, obviously being very transparent, very open. I want to continue this conversation next week because I think it's important for people, whether they're 20 or 50, to understand some of the pitfalls and turning some of the negatives into positives. Because there's a lot of people, it's not that they're struggling. I don't want to use that word struggling. They're unsure. They don't know. They don't know, this person sounds like a good person to align with, or that company seems like a good company to align with. But why? Is it because they seem so popular? Because they're, or are they doing their due diligence? Because listen, everybody's good until you get burned, So I want to keep having these conversations so that we can help people. That's what we're trying to do. So in the context of this discussion this evening, or in general, Joe, what are some of your final thoughts?
One of my favorite TV shows was a cartoon called Animaniacs by Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
And there used to be a character there called Mindy that would walk away from the dog that was babysitting her and then find a random person and start asking them why. What are you doing? Why? When you learn how to ask why, and you ask it 2 or 3 times, it is amazing how in depth people can go that will give you real insights, whether it's an interview in a company, whether it's about hiring an expert, or whether it's about partnering up with somebody. Because when you start asking why, the first why gives you the surface automatic, or as I like to call it, the foam in the cappuccino. The
foam. Yeah, I like that analogy. The foam in the cappuccino. Because there's a few other layers under there.
Right. The second why will give you the milk. Right. And the third why will give you the espresso. And that's where, again, if you're willing to ask why 3 times, you might get insight. Yeah. If you hire somebody to write your resume and they don't ask you, why did you write this in your statement? Why is this significant? Why does this matter? They're just cutting and pasting words and telling you what you want to hear.
So always ask, always dig deeper is what you're saying, right?
Because that's how people kind of all of a sudden go, I didn't realize how good I was at this. I didn't realize that this number made a difference. Because from a perspective of job finding, if you've written to me, I know how to do something, I'm going to assume the smallest number possible is your experience.
Yeah, right.
Right? So if somebody says, I know how to do sales, I'm going to go, okay, great. You sold lemonade when you were 10 years old. Who cares? But if somebody says, I generated, let's say, $860,000 in 1 month in sales, when the previous year, the entire company did 530.
That's pretty impressive.
Then that person knows sales, right? And it's that why. Like, why are you so good at sales? What did you do that made so much sales, right? And what did you do differently than everybody else?
And you know, yeah,
right?
And you know what, Joe, thank you for that, because you actually did a great segue for my final thoughts tonight. I want to talk about being the differentiator, okay? But before I do that, I just wanted to, once again, Joe, thank you very much for this tonight. I really appreciate this. And,
thank you.
Some housekeeping items. Joe will be back next Tuesday night, and I'm actually going to challenge him live here on Facebook to invite a guest to join us that of his choosing that he'd like to bring on, but he has to check with me first, because it's all about, you know, real alignment and authentic alignment and what have you. And I say that because, you know what, we all love people, but not everyone's going to be our cup of tea, especially when dealing with business. And that's what we're talking about. Of course, your former partner was not your cup of tea, even though she started to be. And these are, you know, these are really interesting but true facts, and we have to look at that. But Joe, you and I'll talk about this. I'd love for you to have a guest on the show. They can add some tremendous insights to some of the stuff that you're talking about, people that have come across in your life that you think that would enjoy being on here to talk with you about some of this stuff. But we'll talk more about that. So I challenge him on that, because I just love being a rebel that way. Tomorrow night, we got Kim Bassler on Anything Goes to Business. And as I haven't done the promos yet, but Kim is going to be talking about, and again, we're going back to the beginning with her as well, and giving everybody a chance to get to know Kim Bassler from, you know, many, many years ago. And she's been very open and very transparent, like Joe is as well, talking about her never-ending obsession with being fit, and how it, you know, took her a lifetime to get to a very, very healthy place in her life, both mind and body. So stay tuned for that episode tomorrow night. Thursday night, Julia and I are back for our Anything Goes original series, and we're actually going to be joined, hopefully with the technology from with our resident psychotherapist Victoria Lorient Fabish. It's been a while. Well, it seems like it's been a while, but it seems like forever, because she's always in the studio with us at least once a month, right? We're going to be doing some catching up, and you know, Victoria, she's going to be keeping it real like all of our guests do. So stay tuned for that as well. And again, I can't end the segment without mentioning that next Monday morning, Anything Goes to Business is doing our early Monday morning show, debut show, with our newest team member, Mike Popovich. I thought it was Popovici, but I asked him again, and it's Popovich. So I wanted to make sure I got that right. And he's all about meditation and healing and overall energy of the mind. And he has got some compelling stories from his journey as well. You guys don't want to miss it. So
he's awesome.
For that.
He's awesome. Yeah.
Great. Like, he's really
2 thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up for sure. You know, and it's one big happy family, you know. And so my final thoughts, you guys, before we end it off, is this. Joe said it earlier. He said it again just now, and I want to reiterate this. We're all friends. We're all business partners. We are all colleagues. We are all trying to make a mark out there. But at the end of the day, Joe said this earlier, that sometimes you have to draw the line between friendship and business. And sometimes your friends end up, you know, doing business with you. And sometimes your business colleagues and collaborators become some of your best friends. And that's great too, no problem. But on the other side of the coin is the fact that while there is a room full of collaborators and business potential partners and friends, there's a room full of competitors to one another, competition. And I always say buyer beware. And the best thing I want to say tonight about this is that the people that I want to work with are the people that I know have my authentic best interests at heart, just like I have everyone's authentic best interests at heart. When you align yourself with people like that, it's a golden, golden thing. And that's where the magic happens. So I want to leave you guys with that thought, and we are going to continue this conversation next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to do a watch party. Joe, thank you so much for being so honest as you always. Oh, my pleasure. Please say hello to your loving wife. And we'll talk to you guys soon. And we got to get those intros. We're going to work on that. I always say this every single week. Oh, you know what I forgot to do, guys? Shout out to Maria and Joseph of the Frequency 5 FM studios. We miss you guys. Can't wait to get back in there. So thanks, everybody. See you next time. Bye, Joe.
Bye.
Take care.